Afternoon. This is Julia Widdop with Talk Story TV, and I have with me this morning Lesley Phillips, and she's the author of a book called The Midas Tree, and I will let her tell you all about that.
Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Well, the Midas Tree is a spiritual adventure novel, and it takes place inside of a tree. And there's a very interesting story behind how I wrote the book, which I can tell you about as well. But starting with what the book is about, the hero of the book is called Joshua, and he discovers a magical golden acorn floating in a stream. And when he fishes it out of the stream and he holds it in his hands, he is transported to a magical realm inside a tree. So to sort of try and make it short, that the acorn spins across the garden out of his hands, and he chases it, and he ends up finding a tree in the middle of a field which has a doorway that he climbs inside. So he's initially in his home, which is the Garden of Color and Light, and then he's transported into another world inside the Midas tree. And once inside, he closes the door behind him, he can't get back out.
Uh-oh.
And so, so he's quite upset about that, because he wants to go home to what's familiar. And he meets these magical creatures called divas who live inside the tree, and they act as guides to Joshua on his adventure. And they explain to him that he can't leave the tree until he has fulfilled his purpose within the tree, which is to change himself to gold and also to change the tree to gold. So the book itself is an allegory for spiritual enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
And Joshua, before he enters the tree, is in he's basically pure spirit, and once he enters the tree, it's analogous to being born on the earth like we are.
Uh-huh.
So he sets about his adventures in the tree, and these divas guide him to go. He basically travels down the roots and through the branches, and he meets different characters and encounters various challenges on his way. And so the kinds of challenges that he meets are the same kinds of things that we all face in our daily lives, so battles of the human ego. But the book is written in the style of a fairy tale. So, he's meeting talking spiders and woodpeckers and different kinds of creatures, and in one of his adventures he falls through a ceiling into the spider's lair, and he has to find out how he can escape. And so how he learns to overcome his challenges is through learning and receiving spiritual information. So each of the divas in the tree is the keeper of an ancient spiritual secret. And these ancient spiritual secrets are meditation techniques, so they help him to calm himself down and focus and be in present time, and also spiritual information about the way the world works. So somebody reading this book, they get to read an exciting adventure story, and it's very fun to read, and it's very easy to read. And without quite realizing it, perhaps, they also have the opportunity to learn how to meditate and to learn profound spiritual truths about the nature of reality.
Great. That sounds like a nice book. I know I did receive it, but I haven't gotten a chance to read it yet, but I will, because I've been wanting to learn to meditate.
Oh, great. Yes, I mean, like you said at the beginning, that's something. I'm a meditation teacher, and I'm very passionate about teaching people how to meditate. And this book is a vehicle, I believe, to reach a much wider audience. So it's not a meditation how-to book. It's not a self-help book. It's a story, but it's a story with added extra benefits. And it's been received very well, both by children and adults alike. And so one of my hopes for the book is that it will reach children and help them and present these tools and techniques in a way that's very easy for them to receive and put into practice.
Wow, that sounds great. And is it available in audio?
I have recorded an audiobook. The audiobook is not for sale yet, but it will be. At the moment, the paperback is for sale on Amazon, and there is a Kindle version as well. Okay. Which if people want to find out how to buy that, they can just go onto the website, themidastree.com, and there's a button that will take you through to Amazon, where you can purchase the book. I'll probably be launching the audiobook sometime later this year. I haven't completely decided when to introduce that.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your Spiritual Teaching Center.
Sure. I don't actually have a physical spiritual teaching center yet, but I teach my meditation classes in Vancouver at various locations. So sometimes I teach out of the Pacific Institute of Reflexology. Sometimes I teach out of a place called Astral Connections in Delta, and various other places.
Okay.
So, the way to find out about classes is to go on to drlesleyphillips.com.
Okay.
And there's a list of workshops, and coming up is a couple of workshops. And one of them I'm excited about, and it's a workshop that's offered for parents to come with their tween-age children and learn to meditate together. And you'll receive a copy of the book as part of that workshop. And so then they'll be able to go away and use the book to continue what they learn in the workshop.
Great. Okay, and you wrote a guest blog for us, right? For TVBackstory.com.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and so I highly encourage our viewers to come to tvbackstory.com and read Dr. Phillips' article there, and she'll have links to her website also. Right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, so I think there's links to both websites, and also to, if you want to follow me at Twitter, it's at Dr. Lesley P. And I have a couple of Facebook pages too, one for the book and one for the spiritual teachings.
Okay. All right, great. That sounds, and what else do you have anything else you'd like to talk to us about?
Sure. So I mentioned that the book contains spiritual teachings, and so I'm an energy healer. I'm also a clairvoyant. So apart from teaching meditation, those are a couple of other things that I do and that I teach people how to do. So if those are things that you're interested in, the book has lots of information about that. Okay. And you can also find out about the readings and healings that I do on my website. I specialize in past life readings, and it's not the same as past life regression. It's where I'm able to access somebody's past life information and provide that to them. I also do aura readings, which is I read from trance, and I'm able to see somebody's energy field directly. And of course, we store all of our life experiences, our beliefs, and our concepts in our energy field. And so it's a reading of you and where you're at right now, and the beliefs and concepts that you're operating from, and the challenges that you're facing in your life. and guidance on how to move forward from where you're at right now.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing I hope people might be interested in how the book was written, because it wasn't written from an intellectual perspective. I didn't sit down and say, as a meditation teacher, I'd like to produce a book that will teach people how to meditate, and how should I do that. It was a vision basically received in a meditation, in that I became aware that I would write a book, and so I meditated on clearing my blocks to my creative flow and to knowing what it was that I would write about. So one evening I spent about 4 hours in deep meditation, just clearing what would be in between me and my ability to do that. And that night, basically, I had, I guess you would call it a spiritual download, in that information and images were just pouring into me all night. So I couldn't sleep that night. I kept having to turn the light on and get my notebook out and write some notes. And so by the time that the morning came, I had met all of the characters in the book, and I had an outline for the book. And from then on, when I wanted to sit down and write, I literally just had to get myself into a meditative state, tune into my clairvoyance, and I would literally see the characters in the book just enacting the story, and I would write down what I was watching.
Wow.
And so it was a pretty cool way to create a book. And since then, because I wasn't an author before this is my first book, I've kind of read a little bit about how different people approach writing. And some do it from a very intellectual standpoint, but I completely bypassed my intellect. I've read that that's how J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, actually, that she was able to see the characters, and she just was, like I was doing, writing down what she saw.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be a great way to do it. It would certainly be easy. You wouldn't have to think so much. Just write what you see.
Well, that's right. And one of the great challenges for people in opening their spiritual abilities is to bypass the intellectual mind, because our culture really values and validates the intellect. That's how we're taught to operate in the world. That's how most of us operate at work in our daily lives. It's from our intellect. And so, for anyone out there who is interested in activating their spiritual abilities and their clairvoyance, you really do have to learn to bypass the intellectual mind, because spiritual information comes to you in an instant. And, what most people have a tendency to do is then analyze that information and persuade themselves why it's not right. And so it's about having faith and accepting the information that comes to you. And that's one of my big ambitions for the book, is that it will help children to retain their spiritual awareness. Everybody is born with their spiritual abilities functioning. So all little kids are spiritually open, and what tends to happen to them is that because the adults around them and the culture around them doesn't validate that, oh, it's your imagination, oh, you're just seeing things, oh, he'll grow out of it, that they learn that that's not what they're validated for, that they're validated for doing well at school and being smart in that conventional way. And so most people, by the time that they're young adults, have deprogrammed themselves from that spiritual awareness. And so, I'm hoping that my book will help people not to do that, And for those of us, and it will also help a generation of kids not to do what most of us adults have done, which is to, as we go through our life experiences, and we face challenges and painful and emotional situations, we store them all inside of us. We stuff them down, we store them inside, we store one on top of the other, we experience our reality through all of that stuff that we've stuffed inside, and and it clouds our vision of the truth, and sometimes it can lead to the development of illnesses. And so, for all the adults reading my book, it provides tools and techniques that help them start to let go of all of that pain that they've stuffed inside of themselves. It helps them to let go of self-limiting beliefs and concepts, because the meditation techniques in there are very powerful, and you can use that to do that. And for all the kids that haven't quite stuffed as much pain inside of themselves as most of the adults, hopefully it gives them a way not to have to even go down that route.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Imagine it would be a completely different world. Most people are walking around in the condition that I mentioned, operating from a veil of, painful experiences from the past that color their... And people might be thinking, might have an element of disbelief about that, but it's so programmed into us that you don't even notice that you're doing it.
Right. And so it might be hard to turn that around.
Well, the first step is self-awareness, and to become self-aware, the first part of that is to pretty much wake up inside your body. A lot of people aren't even in their bodies, and I know this might sound strange to some people, but it's my belief that we are spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings inhabiting physical bodies, and so we are not our body. And as spirit, we are eternal, multidimensional spiritual beings of light, and we can be anywhere. And so if we have a choice of being, I don't know, somewhere else, or inside a body filled with pain, quite often we choose not to be in the body filled with pain. So the first step is to come back into alignment and be present in the physical body. And so in the book, the first lesson that Joshua learns is how to ground. And this is a meditation technique that helps anchor you back inside your physical body. It helps bring you into the present moment. It helps bring you into the here and now. And I'll tell you what that technique is. It basically is to tune into an energy center that exists near the base of your spine, and to create a flow of energy that goes from there all the way to the center of the earth. And that, it's like an anchor, it's like the roots of the tree holding you in your body. And it also provides you with a conduit to release things down. So if you're suffering from stress, physical pain, emotional pain, then while you're meditating and while you're grounding, you can release that pain away out of your system and down this grounding cord.
Wow.
And that's just one of the techniques in the book. But and then a lot of people, when they first start to meditate, find it uncomfortable. You know, a lot of people will come to my classes and they'll fidget and they'll say, "Oh, I don't like this. I can't sit this way. You know, it hurts my back." And really, what is happening is that they're grounding. And that pain is there all the time, but most of the time they're not present with their body, so they don't notice it. So they're starting to become self-aware, and they're starting to realize what it is that they have put in their body. And so the trick is not to give up and go, this is painful, it doesn't work for me. The trick is to stick with it, learn the techniques, and use the techniques to cleanse the body so that it is more comfortable to be present in the body. And it's this is also very important for anybody who wants to do spiritual work or wants to be a healer, because, and I'll use a biblical reference, but there's this idea of clearing the temple, and if you're going to administer spiritual advice to somebody, well, you're going to be much more capable of doing that if you have cleared your temple first, because you will be delivering that advice through a clear vessel. If you're going to be a healer, it's kind of the same thing. And, there's the second technique that Joshua learns in my book is called centering. And this is where you place your conscious awareness in the center of your head. And this does a number of things. It starts to activate your clairvoyance, because that's where your clairvoyance is located, in your brow chakra. I don't know whether many of your listeners will know the word chakra, but it's basically an energy center that contains your spiritual information. So you place your consciousness there, you start to activate that ability, but you also put yourself in a position where you can observe your life from a neutral perspective. And so as you start to heal yourself, then when you see the things that you have created in your life and placed in your body and realize that they are things that you are unhappy with and are not helpful to you, then it's much easier to say, oh, well, look at that, I've created this, or oh, well, look at that, and now I choose to release this. Then if you're not centered, there can be a tendency to fall back into the pain or run away with the emotionality of it and just stay caught in that. And then if you are a spiritual practitioner, learning to be centered is very important, because then you are able to see your client from a neutral perspective and a non-judgmental perspective, and give them clean, clear, unbiased information.
Because
that's not filtered through.
Not filtered through all of your stuff. Okay, that
right.
makes sense.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. Wow. Okay, wow. Well, we're about out of time here, and I'm sorry to say that, because it sounds like you have a lot to tell us about. But go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. and at least if you don't have more time with me, at least think about going out and buying the book, because the book is densely packed with spiritual information like I'm delivering to you in this short interview, and it's all down there in the book. And the other thing is, you can also, I do my readings on Skype. Okay. And I do my readings and healings long distance, and so anybody anywhere in the world can benefit from that if they want to. Okay. By going to drlesleyphillips.com.
Okay, and I would encourage everyone to check out her article at tvbackstory.com. Thank you.
Thank you.